recognize my colleague from California, Mr. DeSaulnier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for having this hearing. It's really important, and thank you for all the witnesses. Yesterday, there was a national story in the New York Times, and I think the title was long-term unemployed, biggest cohort now is college graduates. And it just reminded me of, it wasn't that long ago, as a member from California, when I was in the legislature, everybody was talking about the knowledge-based economy, and everybody needed to not only have a bachelor's degree, but a graduate degree. And I remember having a conversation when I was the chair of the Labor Committee in the State Senate with the chair of the Higher Education Committee, and we were looking at how what used to be in the 50s and 60s in California, one of the great career tech infrastructure programs with the community colleges and with the Department of Corrections, just one, but it had been neglected for years, and we focused on more to higher education. So this conversation, I think, is really important. And things that Mr. Norcross said, just remembering how we had to rebuild career tech and going to lots of high schools and community colleges in California. So we get carried away sometimes with the marketing, and particularly for disadvantaged communities, it's a challenge. So, Ms. Laitinen, I want to talk about Pell Grants. I've spent a lot of time on Pell Grants here, trying to make them based on merit and considering the demands on all of the people who should be in higher education, who choose it and have a career path. But for disadvantaged people sitting at places like Stanford, the University of California system, and kids can't get enough to eat or couldn't get housing. So we tried to make Pell Grants based on merit, but also based on need, so that the public would get the benefit of having really talented people get their degrees. So could you talk a little bit about how some of the changes we've made in the last few months make it more difficult to get people of merit who do have potential for really beneficial careers with an undergraduate degree or a graduate degree? How much more difficult have we made it for those folks? And particularly based on merit, less about anything else, and need.
I'm sorry, could you clarify what you mean in terms of the changes that you're seeing?
So in the big bill, I'll just say agnostically, it made it a little more difficult from my looking at, for this cohort of people for a variety of reasons. But just analytically, trying to make sure the best and the brightest actually get access, and where federal grants and loans come into play in that regard.
I mean, I think the truth is it's going to make it less affordable for low-income students. In terms of, I think we've seen, at least with some of the loan changes, we've seen a streamlining of some of the repayment plans, but I do think there's a system in which now low-income students are going to pay more. And so I don't know enough in the data to sort of see, you know, the sort of talent distribution amongst those individuals, but I think we have to assume and we have to believe that, I think to Justin's point earlier, anybody who wants to go to college and complete college and succeed should be able to go, and it should be affordable, and I think the federal government has a really important role in that. I was a Pell Grant student. I went to a community college, and then I transferred to a four-year. And back it was, I think Ms. Bonavinci is gone, but the combination of federal aid, grant aid, work study, along with lower costs at the state level and some additional funding allowed me to get out with very little debt. And students don't have that option now. They didn't, it was harder a few months ago. It's going to be even harder going forward with the implementation of this law.
Yeah, and again, in California, the community college system, getting an AA and then going on and get a bachelor's degree, was Pat Brown's vision, has really worked out well for the public. How about the disabled community? I spent a lot of time with the disabled community. They have a harder time getting through and getting jobs. How might that community be impacted by some of the changes, or just in general?
So my work hasn't focused specifically on students with disabilities, but I think that we know that when information is unclear or when support is cut, when there's less investment, it always harms the students who have the most barriers. And I think students with disabilities face additional barriers. So I think the same reforms that will help students, like clear information, stronger Pell Grants, affordability guarantees, are especially important for people with disabilities.
Just a brief observation. When we were having problems with some colleges, particularly for-profits, my predecessor, whose portrait's up here, and we worked together both in California and here to make sure that the marketing was accurate, so that they wouldn't get state loans in California if you were advertising an 85% opportunity to get a chef's job or something. And it worked. Got a lot of those people who are abusing the federal and state loans out of the business. So with that, I'll yield back. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.